Good evening. This is the meeting of the Police Accountability Board for Prince George's County, Maryland. Today's date is November 13th, 2024. Call the meeting to order at 6:37 p.m. Go ahead and I'll take the roll. If you are in person, just say present. If you are attending as a member of virtual, just say present virtual. Vice Chair Sanchez.
President virtual.
Thank you, sir. Mr. James.
Present.
Mrs. Bryant. Mrs. Springs.
Present.
Thank you. Dr. Coleman.
Present.
Mr. Jones, I know you're driving, so we know that you are virtual. I can see.
Present virtually. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Melton. Mr. O'Neill
Present.
and Mrs. Brady. Up on our agenda. Review and approval of minutes from September 25th and October 23rd. Did anyone? Yes, ma'am. Did anyone and council has suggested again to make sure that we approve one individual. Did anyone not receive a copy of the minutes? All right, cool. Is there a motion to approve the minutes from September 25th, 2024?
Have a motion to approve the minutes of September 25th.
Thank you. Motion made to approve the minutes from September 25th, 2024 by Dr. Coleman, seconded by Mr. James. All in favor to approve the minutes of that date, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? Minutes are approved from September 25th. All right, October 23rd, 2020.
Motion to approve minutes.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Spring. Motion to approve the minutes of October 23rd, 2024, made by Mrs. Springs. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Dr. Coleman. All in favor to approve the minutes of October 23rd, 2024, say aye. Any
Aye.
opposed?
Aye.
Any abstaining? All right, minutes are approved. Next up. Did anyone sign up for public comments? I'll take that as a normally do that, I guess. That was here. So, so if you'd like to just say hello to the board, who you are. If anybody is virtual, you can feel free to do so. I know we have a guest in the room as well.
Good evening. My name is Robert Johnson. Here at an observation loan. Just wanted to see what happens during your meeting, this accountability board. I'm also a chair of one of the commissions, the Georgia County Commission on Violence and Employment. Just happy to observe and just to see what you all doing.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Yeah, welcome. Bill. Oh, thank you. Mr. Melton, how you doing, sir? Thank you. I'll go ahead and mark you present. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Yes, sir. Yes. Okay. Thank you. Reports? None. Next agenda item, old business. Police accountability board review and proceed. Did anyone not receive a copy of the rules and procedures?
Thank you.
Okay. And I think we have, so if no one has, don't have a copy, thank you. Okay, that's running, run out. Yeah. Brian, did you just sound on two, man?
Yes, sir. Good evening, everyone. Chief Bryant, City of Glen Arden. Thank you.
Oh, Chief Brian, how you doing, sir? You have the same last name as one of our members. So when I saw Brian,
Yes, and I did sign in, yes.
oh, okay, see, there she is.
Having a problem with the Zoom link.
Okay, are you all good now?
Mm-hmm.
Great, thank you. Thank you, Chief Brian as well.
Yes,
Chief, are we cousins or something?
might be. I'm from the country, so everybody cousins.
We'll talk.
All right.
All right, there's other guest. Mr. Monroe, forgive me, sir, I can't see that far away. Moore, you mean? Oh, Moore, see, I just gave you, I assigned you a new name, Mr. Moore, I apologize. If you'd like to come off mute, just say, introduce yourself, sir, you can do so at this time.
Still on mute, sir.
We can't hear you, still on mute.
There we go. Good evening, everybody. My name is Stanford Moore. I'm the Chief of Police for the town of Fairmont Heights, and it's a pleasure to be here with you guys tonight.
Thank you, Chief Moore. All right, so let's move on to rules and procedures. Everyone had an opportunity to do that. Anybody need a copy? I have a hard copy. Okay. So are we ready to adopt it or do we want to discuss it? Unless there's a motion to adopt it.
I think I would like to discuss a couple aspects of the rules of procedure if there's room for that.
I move that we adopt the rules of procedure.
Okay. Rules to adopt, the rules and procedure made by Ms. Brains.
Thank you.
Seconded by Dr. Cole. Seconded by Dr. Cole. All in favor to adopt the rules? Oh, discussion. I apologize.
Wait, so,
Yes, sir.
oh no, that was gonna be my question. Are we gonna be able to discuss?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. My apologies. So you want to start off, Mr. Jones? If that's okay, if not, then I know that you're mobile right now, but if you feel comfortable, means you can start off.
I can start off. If anyone else has something to say first, I should be there in honestly about a minute. So it will give me a second to get up there, but I can start off now if no one else has anything they would like to lead off with.
Can we try this? Does anyone have any objections to Article 1? That should be an easy one, right? Anyone have any objections to Article 1 or discussion about Article 1?
Just the citation.
Okay,
That's.
Okay. All right. All right, Article 2, I'm sorry, go ahead.
My question then is, it's presented now as a motion on the table to adopt it, just was presented. So discussion on changes or discussion, trying to make sure I understand the way the motion was made. That, you understand what I'm saying? The motion was made to adopt this. For me, that is this document as is. Are we discussing support or objection to the motion, or are we discussing draft change? That makes sense. Okay. Okay. I just want to make sure that we understood what the motion was versus what we were talking about. Okay. Got it. So for me, I think, and I know Mr. Jones, you're coming through, so we can, if I can take now and
Yes,
then,
sir.
okay, cool. So there are a couple areas for me that I think may need some refining. I'll try to be brief on them. The discretionary duties, again, those are optional, so putting them in as a rule or procedure for us.
What section is that?
B, I'm sorry, that would be letter B.
to me is optional in adopting a document like this. So that was one of the notes. There are several areas where I noted,
Can I just get you back on this one? So was yours just whether it was optional or did you have issues with some of the discretion? Was it both?
both, because this body hasn't adopted those as discretionary. So,
But you can as part
but
of
we
it.
can, but that's what I'm saying. If we adopt it all together, it's what's written in this document. So
Well, let me do this, if the motion make it so that we don't have to go back and forth. Motion to consider the document, how about that? So everybody can just say what is it?
Okay.
That
I
way
just
we
wanted to
don't
follow.
have to, that's, so.
Yep.
Do I need to amend my motion?
We'll amend it in the note. Yeah. So any issues that anyone has with the, they can bring them.
Okay.
If that's okay.
Thank you.
Madam Board.
not a problem. I apologize, I skipped over one on under 13. A13, this is a change to what we previously talked about, and that is the way I read it, everyone has to complete that training. So that's again just noting that would be a requirement. Under E, page 3 on E, the appointment of the vice chair, that's something that should be empowered within the board itself, not just a single individual. Again, as it is under E7, spokesperson, I think again, the board and the board members have some of those discretions. Under G3, and that authority, I think, may be within the board, not vested into a single person, such as G4, request for information was incomplete. I wasn't sure what that meant. G5 is again, I think, taking away board members' individual responsibility or voice. You go to then H, A, schedules, regular meetings, it refers to the fiscal year, which you'll see in preceding areas, and afterwards it will refer to the calendar year. And in some periods, it will say a 12-month period. Of note in that area, it says each member shall attend scheduled meetings in person. That's changed from what we previously discussed. Also, the closing line says a member can attend a scheduled meeting virtually only once per quarter. I note that because it contradicts in a later section. It's A2, there's a
Can you
2/3.
go back? I'm trying
Yep.
to take those.
No problem. You just tell me to slow down at any point.
Yes, slow down, but just go back on the meeting.
Okay. Regular meetings under the first line, A1. It refers to its fiscal year. And I just note that because later on, it's going to refer to the calendar year as well as 12-month period. So there are a couple places where it differs. In that same paragraph, it notes in the italicized, each member shall attend the scheduled meetings in person. And that's a change. And then that closing line in there says a member can attend a regular scheduled meeting virtually, but it says only once per quarter. So that, I think there needs to be some resolution there. Under A2, in that first sentence, it talks about additional meetings by a vote of 2/3 of the board, but I'm not sure how 2/3 of the board can call a meeting if they're not assembled. So just seeking some clarity on that one. On the next page, 4, regular meetings can be canceled on notice, but it doesn't have any justification or reasoning. Under C2, second line, member is permitted to attend a maximum of 5 meetings virtually in any 12-month period. And it earlier said you can do it once per quarter, which I would assume is 4. Now it's saying 5. And again, it references in a 12-month period versus a calendar year or a fiscal year. C3 talks about missing those absences, and it leaves it at discretion to transmit that request. So it's not if it will happen for all instances, it's more of a discretion. Under D, agenda and meetings, It says the chair will approve the agenda distribution publication at least 2 days before the scheduled meeting. Then you go in D2, it says the staff will distribute the approved agenda to the board members 5 days. So I'm not sure how to reconcile that as well. And then I ran out of time on my flight, so I couldn't get to the rest. So I may have other questions, but those are just some of the notes that I had that they need to be reconciled, which is why I would not adopt it at this time until we're able to address some of those corrections and revisions. And again, my point is many of those instances, the board members' voices are silenced. And I think that opportunity for each board member to have their voice and to be heard and to be a part of the democratic process should be contained within the document. So, well,
Apologies for my tardiness.
Thank you for making it. Yeah. Copy.
Oh, it's me. Well, yeah, I've been working on my phone, so that's fine. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, that's all good.
I did want to,
Oh,
Yep.
I'm sorry.
so I did want to say, just when you're doing this, one talks about scheduled board meeting, and one is publication day. So we may have to add, the publication day may be different than the board meeting.
when you talk about the agendas and meetings, 2 days, yeah, it's 2 days before the scheduled meeting.
Meeting, but the other one says publication day. First. So it's a meeting. Publication day.
Well,
So it may, but I'm just saying, one was when you're required to publish it, not necessarily.
understood.
So
So you're saying that the board members would get it at least 5 days out, but the publication would not be for 2 days out.
yeah, because the required publication day, and we can put some more.
It's the approval that was kind of throwing me off. What has an approval?
All right, thank you. Thank you to everyone present. Also, again, apologies for my tardiness. Yeah, just a couple of the questions and things that I had when I was running through it. I guess I'll follow a similar format to Mr. James, just kind of that I took. Article 2, subsection B. Subsection B. Oh, this is on actually the question I think Mr. James already raised it on the point of the appointment of the vice chair. I also think that should be something that, the board should vote on.
Oh, no, E.
Are you on E
Are you
or
on
B?
E?
It should be E, yeah.
Okay.
That was my mistake in mind.
So just for time, if you're saying the same thing Rich James said, because we're gonna come back to it at the board,
Yeah.
so just.
Yeah. So that was 2C, yeah, so that was the same point that was made. I think that would be G. Under the protocol, section G, point also article 2, section G, subsection 2, no member shall hold private meetings with other members of the board to discuss business of the board. Clarity on that piece would be appreciated. I think that kind of sounds like 2 board members can't discuss or have a moment to talk about matters of the board. And that feels a little restrictive and like it takes initiative and autonomy out of what board members can do. So I had a question on that piece. And then point 3, on the same note, same G protocol, subsection 3, no member except the chair or chair's designee has the authority to direct another board member, contractor, agent, or employee to take action or provide information. Just clarity on what that meant. I just wasn't clear on what that piece entailed. Article 2, same one, sub 5, no member shall have the authority to contact IG, county exec, county council, unless granted permission by the board chair. I think I get the desire of this bullet, but I think it again kind of removes initiative and autonomy. And I think board members should feel empowered to have the opportunity to have lunch with the IG or to get to know your local county council member, in your district and those type of local electeds. So that piece, Article 3, A, sub 4, that point was made, just is a reason necessary or no? 3B, sub 1. The last line, a tie vote of the board shall be interpreted as a defeat upon the motion upon which the vote is taken. That point is addressed later. I just don't think that line is necessary because it addresses it under the voting section as well. It says it verbatim, so I just think that it's repetitive. We need to have it there as well. Article 3C. 1 to 3, just this whole section, I think the board should take some time to talk about as a board. You know, what we think about our departments for attending meetings and whatnot. 3. Oh no, that one. Actually, I should. Article 3. Or not Article E. It's like. Oh no, it is Article 3. Yeah, Article 3, Section E, subsection 3. Any person attending open meetings of the board, whether in person, and engage in constructive behavior. This includes visual demonstrations such as the waving of placards, signs, or banners, interfering with the right of members to attend the public, observe, and hear the meeting. I just would like to take a look at this again. I mean, I understand the spirit of this, but I also feel it's the right of any person who chooses to attend to be able to express themselves in the way they want to attend. And if someone has a sign or a placard or a flag or something that they'd like to wave while they're here or while they're on camera, I don't know that we have the ability to tell them that they can't. And I don't know that I think from an ideological perspective that that's something that we should or shouldn't tell folks. So just a question I think the board should consider as we keep moving through this. So E, postpone a decision on a question until a subsequent board meeting. Does that mean?
You say
It's Article 4, subsection E. Yeah. Does that just mean on like if we run out of time, or is that voting on something or not voting on something? I think just clarity on this one. I don't think I understand the situation where this one would be, where this circumstance would be relevant. Article F, again, just clarity again. I think it's kind of almost like at the point of this where we motioned to vote, seconded the vote, and then started discussion. But the way this reads, I think I almost read it as the reverse of once there's a vote in the second, there is no discussion to be had. So clarity for that for me would be appreciated. And that's the vote.
Right.
Yes.
So which one we gonna start with first? I'm sorry. Did you have any copies? Oh, you know, I can share with Council. You good? Okay. 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 Great. All right, so let's go with
And that was great.
no, take it out.
Article. Under the discretionary duties and responsibilities. Number 3, attend trainings deemed necessary by the board chair, directed by the Maryland Police Training and Standards Commission on local governing bodies. So I'm just trying to get clarity. So if we attend trainings outside of Prince George's County, board members are paid. If we attend local trainings, we're not. Well, I was the sheriff's academy training.
That's general public. Yes.
Just, can we use our mics just because folks online need to be able to hear us?
I was saying that that's not a requirement by the board. The sheriff training, is it coming through on the mic?
So you're saying that we should only get paid for required training.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, by the board.
Oh.
I'm not mistaken. Am I right about that? I mean, because in general, the sheriff thing,
Uh-huh.
my wife can take that. His wife, your children can take that. It's not required. Am I saying this wrong? Legal? Isn't that right? Isn't the sheriff's training not a requirement of the board? I'm asking.
So you're saying that, yes, I think it's, your question, yes, you're right, when it's available to the public. So you're saying that anything that is board related concerning board training, that the public is not privy to, something, is basically what you're saying, right?
I'm saying in the rules of accountability statewide, the sheriff's training is not part. We don't have to take that training to be a part of this board.
I just use that one as an example.
Or, and I'm saying, the other one, with the police department,
Uh-huh.
that, the lady down the street can take that. That's not a requirement in the report, if I'm not mistaken. Correct me, somebody.
Okay, well, then answer my question. They had a training, where, only certain number of members could attend in Tennessee or somewhere. So was that a required training?
Point of clarity, I don't think we really have any required training. I don't think we had to take a training that was, in order to be part of the board, you have to take this training, unless I'm mistaken, but I don't remember there being that kind of.
It was like on the Open Meetings Act.
Oh, on the Open Meetings Act, okay.
Yeah, but I did want to try to answer it. I don't think whether it's available to the public is the demarcation. So for example, MML is open to the public if you all were reimbursed for that training, even though others could have gone outside. Well, I'm just,
Go ahead.
I'm trying to answer. No different than MACO, no different than NACO. Am I saying it right? NACO?
Yeah.
Right, which is not required, but something that is beneficial, was deemed beneficial by this board to attend. So, and others could go to NACO as well. So that's not what makes the determination.
I guess I'm looking at the training that I thought was required when we went to Sitesville. Isn't that right?
Because y'all weren't necessarily, no, we got it, you know,
I think everybody should have.
but that
It
was
wasn't
not
required.
required. And in fact, PAB was originally told not to do that training. It was for ACC, I think. And they made, because of staff at the time, made an argument to allow PAB members to attend. And so you all were allowed to.
And so, just real quick, if anybody, any members that are virtual, if we don't get to, you can just raise your hand and we'll make sure that somebody gets it. Sorry about that. Thank you. Okay.
Yes, what I'm saying is that if that's true, you should get reimbursed, okay. I'm just going by what I thought training as relates to oversight as far as accountability. The training in Sitesville was subject-specific. The one you're talking about is overall sheriff's policies and how you develop sheriff department, things like that. That's all I'm saying. But
And I do think, Mr. O'Neill, that because I think Ms. really have brought that up, and it came up even with the MML, and you're absolutely correct. We are doing some investigation about which things can be covered. And also there's some budgetary issues associated with that. So really trying to get a comprehensive answer to your question, because where those dollars. Well, when I'm saying I'm saying board, I'm not, if she's part of a board, so that's the collective. But we are trying to get some clarity on, because it's not required anywhere other than the Open Meetings Act. But what can and cannot is really the question.
So I see your hand up, Mrs. Bryant. So,
Okay. So I'm not sure I understand Ms. Ridley's question in that,
Oh,
is
fine.
she-
Can you hear me?
I'm sorry.
Hold on one second, this really wasn't completing her thought. I said, I'll give it.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm
No
sorry.
worries.
Well, it seems to be a budget issue. So we would pay, I'm just gonna use this figure, $600 for the person to attend a training in Kentucky. Then to pay the board member $120 or $60, whatever it is for, since it's a budgetary issue.
I don't know if it's a budget.
I know, but I was just saying.
So I will say this, that I know that we are, there is a shortfall in the county's budget. And one of the things I think we should look at as a board is being fiscally responsible. And so we can deem, some training that may be necessary. I think collectively as a body, we can say, okay, I have to take this training. So for an example, if there was a training over Meetings Act and something we designated another board member, then maybe we can say, okay, at that training, that person could get paid. So I think that it should be, because we don't, anybody jump in. I don't think that anybody should just say, okay, I'm going to take the training of state's attorney's office. Let's just using them as an example, and just say, okay, I want to be paid for that. I think that there should be some value to what we're doing. And I will say that every training that I do think that we're taking is beneficial to what we're going to need to continue to do our job. I think that any training is beneficial. So I will say this, I think that we can have that discussion maybe later, we can table that. I know that that's an issue, so I think that if we can at least move part on this part, and then we can revisit that. I think that that's something that we can do, but for right now, for the sake of time, and I know that I was suggesting that we have an 8 o'clock hard stop again because of the county, everybody there is a shortfall, so we want to be responsible to the things that we're doing when it comes to meeting time. We have to become more efficient, and we'll say that. So for the sake of time, we need to be able to try to do the things that we need to do. Not saying that we can, but we should try to focus and making sure that happens. Ms. Bryant, go ahead, man.
Sorry, I was on mute. Yes, so I guess the only thing I was asking was, does discretionary mean unpaid? Is that what she was asking?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, but other, I was just waiting. I do have questions, but I would like to, I have some of the same concerns as Mr. Melton and Mr. Jones. And I'm sorry, not Mr. Mr. Melton.
You should have seen Mr. Melton's face.
I can see his face, and so that's why. But some of the questions that have already been asked, I really would like to hear some of the responses to that, and particularly the fact that I think our protocol was more that the vice chair would be voted on by the group and not appointed. I think that's appropriate.
Okay. Frank, did you have anything else?
Yes, I was just saying, I think it would be efficient at this point if we just go through the points that we can agree on, check off, and the ones that people have issues about, let's discuss.
Okay.
We're trying to finish it, but let's allow a certain amount of time. Let's not spend, beat the dead horse. Let's just sort of say, discuss, everybody gets their point across, and then we can vote on.
So I like what you were doing, initial asking. So because you are part of the creator of this document, if you don't mind, ma'am, if you will go ahead and continue that, and I'll take the notes as well with council.
Okay, so Article 1, except for the site, is everyone good with that part? Okay. Article 2.
Mr. James brought up number 13. Okay.
13?
Yeah. Oh, I got that right, Mr. James, right? The one with the open meetings and.
What was the issue with it, Mr. Blunt?
I would just point out that it's adopting something that I didn't think could be previously adopted, that requirement.
This came from the legislation, I think, as opposed to.
I don't recall the legislation. Sorry. I got the dirt sheet there last time.
I think we all do.
All right. My specific is, as noted, that, complete the open meeting training on the Maryland Attorney General's website within 90 days of appointment of their position. I don't recall that specifically being in the legislation. So that's what I'm saying is something, unless everybody's saying they did that, and I totally missed that.
It doesn't have.
Yes.
I'm gonna go back to the legislation. I thought we saw when we were looking. If it's not, it can't be in this section. It could be in the discretionary, but we will double check. But I would ask for purposes of this, are you opposed to the requirement? I'm asking the whole group. Even if we moved into the discretion.
I'm definitely not opposed to the requirement.
Okay, so if no one's opposed to it, we find that it's not mandatory, we just move it to the discretionary. Once you talk about discretionary,
Hey,
I heard you, okay.
I ain't even say it.
Okay, you
Yep.
have to say it. All right,
So we're gonna figure out if it's mandatory, and if not, we'll find somewhere to put it, because we're okay with what it said, I'm just not sure it's in the right section. Is that a fair assessment?
Yes.
Okay,
Um,
all right.
how
Wait,
would
wait,
you,
wait, 1 second. The rules of procedure in Article 1, subsection C, rules of procedure is this document?
yeah,
Okay. And do we have the citation for the PG Code of Ethics?
it says we need to find the site, we'll have the site. I don't think you
Okay.
heard when we said it previously.
Oh, okay. All right. Maybe I did. Okay.
Mr. Melton,
yeah, just had a question of clarity. So complying with the Open Meetings Act is one thing, and then also completing the actual training is another thing. Are we saying both are gonna be discretionary?
No, the compliance is not discretionary.
So we're gonna leave that, right? We're gonna
Right.
leave comply, okay.
I thought your only question was the training.
okay, so what does that mean for the actual wording of 13?
Comply with the Open Meetings
So
Act.
that would be
that.
Oh,
Okay,
But no, we've already said that the governing document, first article.
And if we have the other, it'll be somewhere.
Good.
are you, you good, Ms. Melton? All right. Thanks.
I think Vice Chair.
Oh.
Vice Chair Sanchez.
Oh, no, we figured it out, so I'm fine.
I was just. Is that training with the council, talk to us,
You mean it? Was it the ethics training?
whatever that's necessary.
Okay, yes, okay, okay.
And for purpose of me trying to keep up with this, I know we're in Article 2, can you, people, A, just finish with
Okay,
A.
okay.
And we know 13 was the only, are we fine with
Yes.
everything else?
Yes. All right, so now we're on B. So I'm sure require more discussion. So let's open the floor about B. Concerns, questions about B. Discussion.
Well, I guess, wouldn't we have to worry about that for number 3? Tim trainings being necessary by the board chairman, because that was basically her question. In a sense, as far as being reimbursed for that, it's the same thing, not mistaken. So, if you go on a training, it has to be, attend a training, you gotta be approved by the chair. Everything has something.
Oh, sorry. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
As far as training is concerned and women being paid, training payments are contingent on the budget. Okay, so if you go to a training that you just would like to go to, that you feel like it's beneficial to you, then the PAB is not responsible for those payments. Now, if we put something out to the board, as far as training is concerned, then yes, the PAB is responsible for those payments. However, the PAB, I think, Ms. Camp just said, there is no required training besides the Open Meetings Act. So there's no mandatory training for PAB. But if we put something out to the board, then yes, we're responsible for paying. If it specifically says that we cannot pay for it, then we won't pay for it.
But
Oh,
I
no, we
guess
cannot.
that's why three needs to be changed in the sense to say that
But let's,
We're sending out, sometimes we send things out just for information.
Right.
It's up to you. If you would like to take it, then that's up to you, but it's just information. That's why we send things out.
but I wanna be clear, what I thought I heard you say. Only those things that the staff sends out are eligible for payment.
I don't want to say only, because I don't want you to twist my words up.
I'm not twisting,
No,
I'm
okay.
asking you a question.
I'm saying
Okay.
if we send something out to the board, like some things that we send out is just information. And we specifically say in there, this is just information. If you go, then the board, the PAB is not paying for it. Can't
No,
afford
I'm
to pay.
asking a very different question.
Okay.
So I'll use it as a different one. The chair sees, you didn't send it out, but the chair says, I think it's beneficial for this board member, for board members to attend their vote. Didn't come from you,
Mhm,
didn't come from staff,
mhm.
but it came from the chair or even a board member who saw, like Danny would find stuff all over the world. But, Danny, I wish you were listening. In that case, it did not come from staff, but still would be eligible perhaps.
Perhaps.
Right, so I don't want it to be based on,
Perhaps.
right, so I'm gonna suggest that maybe we need to spend a little bit, we need to have some discussion with the county with respect to,
Yeah.
my question was, what can
Yeah.
be reimbursed?
So we need to have a
Okay.
conversation with OMB.
And
because
OMB and,
determines what is going to be paid out through the budget for training.
So,
and I think also the deputy CL.
okay, so yes, sir.
Yeah, if I could, for this section, the discretionary section, I do think that, there's a way to reword it to imply most of this. I think that because it's discretionary and it's not mandatory, there's a way to say, to leave that wiggle room that I think we're talking about here, that there are some possibilities and some yeses. So I think if we honestly just leave it at discretionary duties and responsibilities, leave it at line 5, perform other duties as assigned by the board chair, and I think also as approved by the board. And then we could add a line saying, possibly including but not limited to, list all of the things that are here. Then I think that actually reflects the discretionary nature of the activities and the participation that we're talking about. Versus written as it is, it does seem like it's a mandatory discretion.
So could you read exactly what you're saying?
So, yeah, so I'm saying for under section B, all we need is line 5, perform other duties as assigned by the board chair and approved by the board. And then including but not limited to, or something that implies these are options but not mandatory, and then list numbers 1 through 4.
My only, well, one thing I would say as it relates, is number 3 is if the Maryland Police Training and Standards Commission or a local governing body directs us to take a training, it's not discretionary in my opinion. So I didn't see that fit in there under discretion, period.
Take that whole, it's a 10 training team instead by the board chair,
I would take it all out.
then do the whole lot.
Number 3, the whole, number 3,
Yeah.
So if we were to include what Danny suggested and take out 3, with that, Mr. James, Mr. Jones, and who else had a concern with that particular part? You as well, would that address your concerns with that? So you can read how it reads.
Look for myself. Yeah, so it would read, perform other duties assigned by the board chair and approved by the board. Something along the lines of including but not limited to, and then list point 1, list point 2, we discussed the removal of point 3, and list point 4. And again, that still leaves room for additional discretionary decisions in that realm.
So can I ask a question back to Janine? If number 3 were just to say attend training, period, would you be opposed to that still? That's a discretionary.
I wouldn't be opposed to it. I think if we're going to adopt anything as discretionary right now, it would be perform other duties as approved by the board. And that leaves us the ability to determine what those may be at whatever point forward.
I agree with that.
We're gonna, just so you know, once these conversations, because it's not gonna get done today, we're gonna mark it so people have a chance to see those changes.
Okay.
And discuss it. And we'll line it so that you know who's saying.
Okay, so we're gonna move along and we're going to, are we have a sense that we're gonna move?
We're gonna
Remove
hold on B.
hold on it to
Yeah,
word it.
yeah, we're gonna send a track change back. I didn't put okay.
All right. C. We're still on Article 2. C, any objections there?
See?
Yeah. Should be coming to the board. Each story. No.
Oh, it's fine.
All right. We'll move on to D. Terms. Everybody okay with that?
Yep.
All right. E. I think we had a couple concerns with E, right? The first one was 2. You're appointing the chair, the vice chair of the board. So I guess.
Wait, one thing. So does that mean that the chair is also subject to a 4-year term, or does he get to stay on forever? What is the?
The board member. My assumption would be he's the board member, so, yes.
Yes, what, which?
Yes, he's a regular board member, so yes, D, yes.
Whoever serves as the chair would not be here forever. There'll be a new chair, yes. So 4 years.
Okay. Up to 2 consecutive terms.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Under E,
Let's make sure Ms. Ryan.
Oh, my
have any
apologies.
more questions. And that's in the legislation,
What's in the legislation?
about the the terms, 4 years.
Oh, right, exactly. No, I just, that's why I was just asking is the board member, since he's selected by the county council, is there a different process in terms of how long it is?
No, he's still a board member.
Okay. Okay, that is just my question.
Okay, and then you were about to get to E, is it E2? Because if not, we need to
yeah,
wait.
E,
because-
like
okay.
E1/2, yeah, cause I think they both,
Oh, so you have to start with 1 as well.
cause,
Oh, okay.
'cause one says designate the vice chair, and then
Right.
also says appoint the vice chair, so like, they make the same point.
Okay.
Just, again, I think that should be a process that the board gets to have a say in, like, I think that the board should vote on. I think the chair maybe nominates the vice chair, can say, I think this person should step forward, but I think at the end of the day, I think the board should be able to vote and say, this is the person we'd like to serve in that capacity.
Well, I think it should just be nominations from the floor and not subject to just the, I mean, no, that it should be just like any other, board that I've been involved with that the vice chair be selected from the membership by the board and not by just designated.
Can I split them up? The first one is really talking about who would preside over. So if the chair wasn't going to be there, they would select who was already, however y'all deal with number 2, you put that person to designate somebody else. That's all that's different.
No.
Yeah, number 1, that's different than the section.
Okay.
Yeah, that's different from the second one. Mhm.
Thank you. Thank you.
Still on number 2 and just taking input, I'm sorry. Still on number 2 and just for consideration input, for me is what is the term limits around that vice chair position? It's something that the board elects annually, that to me might be something that's clarified, and therefore, again, I don't believe it's the power of the chair, so I would remove it from that section altogether as well.
So I'm writing, you want to eliminate it, did you
From
have
that section.
alternative language, or
No, yeah, I mean, agreed. I don't think this is the section
Section 4.
for the selection of a vice chair.
Number 2.
Yeah,
Okay.
It should not be under chairperson.
so we're saying the process of the selection of a chairperson or of a vice chairperson belongs somewhere in this document, but just not under the responsibilities of the chair.
So we're saying we make a selection. That's a whole nother thing.
Yes,
So we're
we make a
saying-
selection as a body.
So I think we need to vote on that. I don't
That's
think it
what
should be a
I'm going to say.
selection.
Yeah.
I think, I've been on boards as well, and I've seen it done both ways. And I do think, that a chair should have a right to appoint a vice chair. So I think that'll be a point that we as a board vote on at some point before we move forward, and whatever wins, wins. And we
Yep.
go that way, and then we add language as far as that. So, is it proper to do it now?
No, we're gonna give everybody this document back. So what you'll get back from us will be one that has, one option is keeping it in this section, appointing the vice chair of the board as a duty responsibility, and the other one will be to strike it totally from this section.
And then when we come back, we'll vote on it again.
No, we'll vote on either one. It's either gonna be,
Uh,
he can do it or he can't.
okay. Oh, I got you. You're gonna do
Right.
it. You're gonna do it. You're gonna have it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
it's either gonna be in or out
Okay.
too.
I will say, I do think the additional point of the length of time that position, because the vice chair isn't a position in the legislation, so that is a position that we are determining what that looks like and the powers that we give. So I think the question of the term, how long does the vice chair serve, also should be addressed in that piece. Or it might warrant its own section. The chairperson has a section, the vice chair might warrant its own list of responsibilities as well, or expectations.
So I hear that and I'm thinking, just thinking out loud, my issue with that, or I'm thinking about why that may be problematic, is because we all have terms. So the vice chair is on a certain term and or the chair or vice chair, different terms. We have a new chair comes and they may want to appoint a vice chair. Like, does that play at all in that? Would that be an issue? If we're saying that the vice chair gets to select or voting, how would that, I mean, I'm just saying something we want to consider when we're thinking about wording, how that would look.
Mr. Melton?
Sorry, I just wanted to go back and I think I heard Marva Joe say that I think I heard the plan is to sort of give options based on some of these decisions. And then next time we meet, we'll see the document with options and vote on them then.
Yes.
But then would we be able to also adopt the full document at the end of that?
Yes. Yes, sir. That's the goal.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
We're not making it a third time. Mr. Melton.
Yeah, I just want, that was my concern. We just prolonging this, so.
They wanna think about this stuff.
Okay.
And I'll say in response, I think that kind of goes into the question we're talking about too, like what's the process we choose? So maybe the vice chair question can only happen after the vote or discussion.
Right,
Yeah.
that's not my thinking about,
Yeah,
because that
for sure.
could happen there.
For sure.
But if you all don't mind, for those who do want term limits, if you would send something to make a suggestion on a process for that we can include in a narrative.
I really think it should be annually that we selected the new chair, the new vice chair, so it rotates among us.
But if you want to send it, if you could send that to the staff.
Okay.
As it
Okay.
relates to term limits, anybody else, so we can see it.
Okay. So we're all for two, we're going to come back, we'll have language with both.
It was
I would
probably.
just also say, I think vice chair should have its own.
Own section.
Yeah, like,
Okay, so subsection?
yeah, like if chairperson is E, vice chair should be F.
Okay.
and then go down, yeah.
Okay. All right, and then I have 7, you have anything for 7? That's the next one I have, but I don't know, I was.
Y'all okay with 3, 4, 5, and 6?
No,
Any issues?
Question on number 5.
We'll go down, so can we do 3?
anybody with 3?
Oh, sorry, oh, I see what you're saying. I apologize.
Anybody with
I'm trying to
question?
keep
Yeah, my apologies.
3, no, 4? Sorry, Mr. James, on too fast.
It's, I may be reading too many things, but the 3 days notice given to board members and the public, specifying a little bit different than later on where it talks about 24 or, so it's 2 days notice to the public. So it's a couple different ways that it reads as far as that notice.
So what we'll
You
go
understand what I
back
mean? Where it's
to-
just not.
Because one is only dealing with additional meetings, so we
Yep.
will go and check it as against the additional meeting section. Is that?
Yep.
Okay.
4, 5,
Yeah, my only question here is, I guess, just clarity. Determine and interpret, like, what do those things mean and entail? Like, is there action taken as a result? Is that just implying some level of discipline on board members, or I just would like clarity as to what is the intent behind this? Because as I read it, like, maybe it's, the responsibility of the chair to, be actively making sure that we're doing what we're supposed to do. And, like, I don't know, maybe there's some commentary on a review process of making sure that we're, like, some kind of accountability internally to the rules of procedure, which I think they're 100% okay with the process for that. I just want to understand, again, I'm just looking for clarity on that piece.
We didn't write this one, so I'm gonna have it, but what I think it was is really just having the responsibility of making sure we're following the legislation. And if there's a legal question, talking to the contract, it's really just making sure we're meeting the governance responsibility. So if you want to, but that's what I think we didn't write.
Yeah.
Right, and I'm fine with it as far as that governance, but for me, that language specifically is to interpret the rules of procedure. And again, there are some areas where there are consequences implied or forbidden acts. Just what a little more clarity.
I think part of me thinks, like, words like review or I don't even know, oversight, or it's like some, maybe, I don't want to say softer language, but some language that implies, tracking attention, and, doing your best. It just sounds like there's action to be taken as a result. And I don't know what that action would be, that would solely belong to the chair, if that makes sense.
So we know, I have room
Yeah.
for softening, and I know what that means.
then it's on the floor.
And I was gonna say, Dan,
Because that means
do
he
you
wanted
wanna
to get
offer?
done.
I can, yeah, I can do it right now. I gotta need a little more time.
No,
No,
we're
no.
coming back.
Yeah, but no,
Like tomorrow though, or day after?
Oh,
It's only.
I can do Friday. Yeah, I can do tomorrow. I can do
Yeah,
Friday.
tomorrow,
Yeah.
Thursday.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to get it done.
Perfect.
All right, so we're gonna come back with 5. Then it's gonna give us something on
So
Friday.
we'll also.
Okay.
6, 7, Mr. Jason, I have a circle.
Yeah, again, acting as spokesperson, I think it leaves it as one person, and I think board members are each appointed and not necessarily serve as a spokesperson, but maybe a little clarity on board members' capabilities to speak as a board member. So,
Can I ask a question? Because this is what they have to do, not what y'all can't do. So if it was somewhere else,
Just-
this is.
I got you. I'm all the way there. But I just want that, I'm glad that was said. Can do, but what others cannot do is not implied or implicit there.
Right. Do you
Thank you.
have problems with that? That's something that the chair can do?
Can I see some modification like?
Something like shall be the official spokesperson.
Well, Ms. Brian, if you, whatever you thinking,
Okay. Got you.
all right.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
All right.
Okay. And did anyone else have any questions about that one? Okay, 8, 9,
And if after tonight you have something that you thought about, just
Yeah,
send
but
it.
not too
Right.
much, 'cause
I know,
it's
I
gonna-
know, but I mean, they got.
You know what I'm saying? We've been doing this a long time. We need to.
I know. Okay.
All right, F, 1,
Well, maybe that one, if nobody brought up anything, we could just have it on.
F2, F3, F4, F5. All right, when it G? Yes, sir. Backing up to F5.
I just, cooperate from a legal perspective, does that create some kind of obligation to act a certain way or to do things at the direction of the board? Or does cooperate just mean, be helpful? Because cooperate from a legal perspective seems like a binding term. And I just like clarity.
I don't think that we're talking about legal. I think we're more talking about the forum, being respectful. We're all adults here. If we don't agree with something, we can still be the point to the extent that it doesn't, disagree with anything we're going or stand for to be focused.
Yeah.
I kind of what it means. I don't think it's like legal as far as,
Yeah.
had to do something. So I think
100%.
that's kind of more where we are.
Yeah.
If you want to give it softer language or a different word, we're all open to that, but it's more so of just, you disagree with something,
Yeah.
get it, you don't have to, but still to the extent that you can cooperate with the board and get it done.
Yeah, no, totally understood. I just wanted to make sure, again, we're talking about this document and how we operate, I get to cooperate and having some kind of legal connotation in this document. I just wanted to make sure on that distinction. So if that's the case.
You're okay with it, and we know that this is being recorded, so if anybody wanted to know what it meant, they will have the benefit of
Yeah.
this discussion. Okay, so we can say, okay, for 5?
Yes.
Okay.
Go ahead, put your name down.
Get a second right off.
Yes, it's Brian.
Can't put a hand.
Okay.
All right. G1. G2, we had an issue with a circle. So we discussed that.
Yeah, I brought this one up. Yeah, I just, again, as written, it seems like I wouldn't be able to have a conversation with another board member and talk about what we do as a board. And that just seems restrictive. It seems like it removes initiative and autonomy for board members. I think board members should be, as much as they can be, empowered to, take initiative and do things like that. So the idea that 2 board members can't have a conversation about it, as I read it right now, it just seems much.
I think, I'm not just the only one. Before I jump in, is anyone have thoughts?
So I think the intent for the protocol section is to make sure, because I think it's tricky balance between having a meeting with a county official to just generally talk about issues or things that we're doing versus going and representing like official business of the board. Because when you go, and if you're doing it, or I go, and our capacity as board members, and whomever we're talking to is gonna think that that's the position that the board has agreed upon. And I think that's where sort of this section is going. And so if we don't know that these conversations are happening, then how can we know that it's an official position of this board, right? So if there's an issue and say you want to go talk to a county council person, I don't think we're saying, no, you can't speak. But I think you have to sort of think about what it is, what the motivation is and what the purpose is, because they will then think, oh, well, then the whole entire board thinks that way.
Yeah, no, that makes sense, and I appreciate that. I appreciate
I
that.
think she jumped to number 5.
Okay,
Number 5.
yeah,
So
yeah.
number 5. So, yeah,
Yeah.
it's all right. It's all right. For the one that you're talking about, I think, I agree with you. Maybe we can word it a little easier. It's more, the intent was, we don't want to have a whole meeting call. Like if you have 4 or 5 people discussing board business, or let's say we have 5 people who are meeting to discuss things going on with the board, that is like a project. So I think it was more to that intent.
Yeah.
Not necessarily, I think that's where, where we're going. If that's not clear, maybe we can, try to clean that up. I don't know, what do you think? Like, do you have any, Mr. James, do you have anything?
So my My feedback on that one is that the Open Meetings Act training covers that requirement and what is allowed,
Yeah.
and unallowed. So I would
Check it out.
take it out.
Okay.
So let me, this might be one, does anybody disagree with taking it?
No, I'm with it. That's up to you.
Anybody on number?
No,
two?
I think that's appropriate. Yeah.
If you are, we're gonna keep it. You wanna keep it in. I wanna keep it in. Okay, so we'll put it in the,
Okay.
in the discussion. Okay.
So to be, for clarity, when we're saying we're discussing it for the next time that we do this, keeping it for discussion, we're gonna vote, right? Because we're discussing now. I'm just clarifying. So we all look now, we're talking now, but when it comes in, we're gonna look at it and then vote on it.
That's correct.
All right. Number 3, is that the same thing? Same kind of issue?
This one I just
That
asked for
was James
clarification.
and Jones.
Okay.
But yeah, I just don't know what this means, like what action, what information, and does that mean that I can't? I just don't understand what is restricted. And why that would need to be restricted.
And for me, it is restrictive. It's a barrier that we ran into earlier before where information was requested and it was like, well, I can't provide that to you unless the board or the chair approves me to send you the data, the information about the cases, right? So now I gotta wait to execute a task that I may have been asked as an example, or if I just want to know as a board member, how many complaints have come in this week? I think that's a reasonable request, but the way this is written, you can't make that request and get any information unless it then goes through some other channel. And as board members, I think we should have that ability to request information that's pertinent to doing the job.
But let me just ask, because one of the things, at least as I read it, was not intended to prevent it, but having a flow of information. So that you didn't have a situation where things are going here to here. And that's why before everything was going either through the chair or the program administrator, just so everybody, I mean, at least the leadership knew what was happening. Would not want, and it did happen, we had some with the council and was not aware of it. But once it comes to your chair and your program, you at least have a flow of information. It wasn't intended, I don't think, and again, we didn't write this one, the protocol. It wasn't intended to prevent, it was just to create a flow to be able to do.
Totally understand. I'm just going off of the lived experience. There are even questions that I asked before that I've never got an answer to, except for I can't send you an answer until the chair approves. And I, to date, have no answer. So I don't think I think that's prohibitive to the board members trying to do their work by creating this flow process.
I would also add, I think that I don't think like board member to board member interaction or action things that we do should be restrictive. I think that might be something that just, the truth is we might have to go off the honor code, right? Of, doing our best to keep everyone in the loop of the initiative that we take. But best case scenario, each one of us would be doing things proactively that maybe not every single person in this room knows that we're doing, but we should be, right? If everyone really is. And this seems like it holds back the ability to do that.
Well, I do, I'm on my legal side. I don't want honor code. I'm worried about honor code.
Yeah.
Because, and let me tell you why, because you may be great board members, but then you might have horrible board members. So you want to create rules that deal with the best and the worst.
Well, I completely agree. I completely agree. I completely agree. I'm thinking about every single one of these positions and roles in terms of like theoretically, right? Like of a blank face, a blank position in every single one of them. That being said, I still do think that the best board member, the best way to have an empowered board member who can be productive is to ensure that they have the ability to take initiative and to work collaboratively with their board members and to make requests of staff at times if they have requests that is needed. This doesn't seem like it gives me, at the end of the day, every board member was approved by the council. Every board member went through the same process to get here. And I think that there has to be some level of empowerment and respect to that process as well. We're here for a reason.
So if you have on this one, if either one of you have language, I have some thoughts too, and maybe that we can, but it's saying something different than I think.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe we can word it something where we, or whoever the board member is, kind of includes on the chain, maybe the chair and vice chair, not being restrictive. Because I think that as a board, we already know what's going on. So if at least the leadership knows, the chair, vice chair, and have that board member maybe CC them on that. Not necessarily approval, if we can word it like that, that everything kind of is the board member, like the chair or vice chair is included on whatever those requests are. I think maybe something like that could, but I don't think just the board themselves having just for, uniformity, just for the vice chair knowing and all the board knowing what's going on. I think it should be something where if Mr. James requests information, that he could do so, but let's have, Mr. Sanchez Jamal on that email chain so that they're aware, not that he has to get their permission, but because that's something that as a board we should be doing, so he knows what's going on. Because as a chair and vice chair, they should know what's going on with the board. All right, so maybe we can word it something like that, but that makes
formal
something
request
change.
in official capacity. Okay, I get what you're saying.
I mean,
We're tasking, if you want to do it, if you want to do it, and the committee, if we want. Language. Everything's by Friday, so.
yeah, no, I'm saying that, Mr. James, is that something you would, I mean, is that, or how would you word it? What would address your concerns with that particular one?
I guess for me, addressing my concern with actually having a process in place as it relates to it.
Okay.
So I can make a general statement, but if there is a protocol for requesting information, that's fine, and I need to see what that protocol is. But again, I am working to make good policy.
Okay.
I know good policy will create good people. That's not the inverse all the time. So minus the person, how does this going to work? Whether I'm sitting in this seat or the next person is sitting in this seat, I need to create that opportunity for them to be able to, in this instance, the final two words, provide information, no member. So that's a block.
Right,
So
so,
I need to reword it so that it addresses that, and then there needs to be a protocol that allows you to do that.
are you able to do that? You think-
By Friday, that's
What do-
different.
What can you do about it? 'Cause, here's the thing I want everybody also to keep in mind, and Mr. Chair, I don't know if that's- we're trying to get this done, so we're trying to make it concise and brief, but also cover everything that we need to cover. So these sections should not be too long, but enough to cover the information that we need.
If we make reference to a process with that, even if we didn't put it in here, if you want to do.
That's what I was gonna say. If we reference a protocol and we are actively
Yes.
working to work on that protocol, we have the space for it and can fill in the protocol as we move.
Is that not enough? So you just.
Because I'm not gonna
Fair,
adopt
fair.
it unless I know what it
Yeah,
is all the
yeah,
way
yeah.
through.
Fair,
So
fair.
that's the only reason
No,
why.
I was trying to address.
I understand what you're saying. I'm trying to finish mine as well.
Right.
No, I'm saying something different.
No,
I'm
no,
saying
with you.
that process, to your point of being too long, if you wrote the process to be voted on too,
Yeah, are
but
you?
not putting it
Yeah.
in here.
When would you need,
How long would it take you?
Really.
Okay, I love that.
I know what's on the calendar. I'm not even back here until next Wednesday, so. Being a realist, I wouldn't have something to the 22nd.
What day is,
That's Friday, the 22nd.
that's next Friday.
Is that before the meeting? Oh, yeah.
It's not next Friday. Is it?
Yes,
Yeah.
it is, yes. Okay, does that work for you? 'Cause the thing is, I just wanna make sure we have the document, if we can have
We
everything
ain't gonna meet
documented.
next week because it's Thanksgiving, I think.
I mean, I think at this point, we're trying to get as much as we can
Yes,
get in.
so,
If you have it, do bring it, we'll add it as we get. Right.
so,
Okay.
so you could be about 26.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, so,
That's.
thank you, Mr. James, all right. Then,
We have 4, Mr. Jackson.
I think 4 may tie into 3, so it may be something that I can address. But again, it's just a statement that says submit any request for
Yeah.
information or action. Like, was it? Oh,
okay, at 5, that's, I think, when you were talking about 5. So, I think that's something we're gonna have to vote on, and if anybody has any language to change that, yes, sir.
I just think we should change that on together. It should be out. Because I heard around here, just some specific, not so much the first sentence. Everybody talking about cutting the budget. Okay. Maybe we just So you're saying that I can't talk to council people, I know y'all got a budget crunch. Y'all need to put some money in the board, you know what I mean? Well, council member stuff, you should be able to do that, because you also have to, I'm talking about policy. Right? They're gonna increase the police, but they ain't gonna cut it. And if we are oversighting them, I should be able to tell Burroughs or Alvin or somebody, hey man, when that oversight come up, please y'all, look out for us. This,
Oh my God.
that's the way this stuff works. I don't, that restricts me from doing that. You know what I mean? Because, I mean, we're not going to the hearings or whatever. I don't know what the budget, but I mean, I know if I tell one of them, I mean, just suggest to you, this restricts me from doing it.
I will say too, I think to the point Dr. Coleman made previously, I think there is a consideration of like one board member, unless approved by the board, shouldn't be able to represent board positions in an official capacity. Completely agree, completely understood. And if there's a way to reflect that in this, because I do also agree with Mr. O'Neill, I do think that, you know, the truth of it is, you know, we're in the work that we do, we're gonna have interactions with the council, with the exec, with these folks, and we need to be able to talk to them to get them to understand the work that we're doing. So an official board position, yeah, no, like I, as Daniel Jones, board member, yeah, should not be able to speak as to what we as a board decide. But Daniel Jones, as a citizen and as a member of the Police County Committee Board, I have my perspective, you know, and my experience here. I think I should be able to say that to my, you know, to my representative.
I think that's reasonable. I think, well, correct me if I'm wrong. No, that wrote this. I think that this is saying not to discuss anything in particular. Also ties in to, yes. Go ahead.
What you're saying is what we were trying to get across, but we didn't, so we didn't.
Yeah.
So if I'm open to anything.
Yeah.
For that was exactly how it should be, like official, whatever. It was just so that it's not for, you're not speaking for the board, you're speaking for as
No, I'm
yourself.
talking
As your
about,
person.
I'm speaking for the board. When
Oh,
you keep
okay.
on telling me, y'all, budget, I'm talking about, when you keep on telling me the budget's tight. And I see what you're gonna say, man, when that comes to your committee, I need you to vote right. Put some more money in there for police accountability. That's what I'm saying.
Mr. O'Neill, I think there's a difference between speaking for the board and speaking as a board member.
Exactly.
You
Exactly.
understand me?
I just wanna make it clear.
So,
I can.
hold up now, Danny, you got enough for a lot
Work it out,
of things.
man.
Yeah,
You got time,
I got you. Don't worry. I got you.
Sorry.
'Cause if I, all day long, I've been hearing this thing about, county ain't got no money, county ain't got no money. And I know, you talk about police. You talking about police. They don't do too much cutting for the police, but that's bad.
But that doesn't mean it necessarily comes to, don't wait.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
All I was gonna say is police is different than DOT.
Nah, it ain't, see, I don't agree.
All right, H, you have Danny down for doing, and you think he's gonna work 5.
Yeah, I got them all on this document.
Okay, 5, you got him at 5, Margaret, he's gonna work 5.
I have James and James.
James is gonna do 2 and 3,
So
4.
Jones, are you give, I mean, James, are you?
Oh, no,
giving
3 and 4.
anything on that one? On 5, you are too, right?
I had Daniel Jones.
I had Jones,
Oh,
but were you also gonna
No,
propose?
I'm not gonna sign up for extra.
So I need to take James off.
Yeah.
Five is me.
That's an extra credit project.
For the record, for that, I said 8 o'clock was a hard stop, so we have 5 minutes. Okay, we can go a little bit, but we have to.
We didn't hear anything on conflict of interest.
Okay, yes.
All right, H1. Anybody?
I ain't hearing any on
Okay.
that. So
So my own H1, again, it references fiscal year, so I just want to make sure that if that needs to be addressed, that wording is there. And then in H1, yes, in the opening sentence, held at least quarterly each fiscal year.
No, we got H1.
I thought we said conflict of interest was all good. I'm sorry.
Oh, we going to
tried.
Oh, yeah, we got next. She right, H1.
She
Go
just
ahead.
got one to go through.
H1.
A1, you mean?
Go ahead, A1, that's what I meant, Mr. O'Neill, you're right, A1.
A1.
he saying? A1 or A1? A1.
Fiscal year.
Article 3, subsection A.
All right.
A1, and we're gonna, you said the fiscal year, we will go and paginate anywhere, we will look at anywhere it says 12 months, fiscal year, okay.
I'm just looking for it to make sure it's consistent,
No,
so we
we'll
know
go back.
that what that
Now,
is.
one.
Then it also says, each member in the italics, each member shall attend the scheduled meeting in person. I think that's discussion. Just based on what we previously agreed to. And then additionally, the closing sentence says a member can attend the scheduled regular meeting virtually. I want to say that's only once per quarter. Again, I think that's something that needs to be discussed, as well as the conflict that it creates later on in the document.
So can I ask Paul to do on this one? One, if you have issues with that, can you let us know if you want it deleted or if you have alternative language?
Yeah, I was gonna say, I would suggest we just strike it from there and address it when we get to the attendance and quorum section. So I think those pertain directly to that.
Like,
Is it next?
Strike each person shall attend scheduled meetings in person and strike once per quarter, because those are matters of attendance and quorum anyways. So if we strike them from there and then just address it in that, in section B.
Should we do second for two as well? For two?
Okay.
No, he didn't have some, Mr. James said something about two.
All right, so.
Okay. But he wouldn't want it at all, so even if we moved it, he might. want to strike
No, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying strike it from 2 and then have the conversation, because I do think section B warrants its own robust conversation. Strike that language from 2 and then,
discussion.
yeah, and then just have the full attendance quorum discussion and all that entails under B.
Okay, when we're saying that though, when we're saying discussion, that we're leaving a lot to discuss and vote on for the next meeting. So when you say that, are you saying to discuss then, or are we giving an option? Because what I don't want to have is we come here and we have all these things that we're talking about and putting in the meeting. Again, we're coming back for a fourth time.
Yeah.
To vote anything. Like the goal would be next time we come to have it so we can, with the changes made at that meeting, to be able to adopt the rules and procedures.
But I
Personally,
do understand moving it down to B
Yeah.
and then having the discussion under B. So,
Yeah. Personally, I was just saying in like 3 minutes when we get
Oh.
down there.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like that, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right,
not-
so 1, 2, is it one, you're 1, 2, 1 and 2, or just 1?
Well, we only doing one right now.
Okay. So you said 1 and 2, we're gonna move it to B.
So just the part that shall attend and one per quarter. Under the attendance.
Okay, so 1. So we're
So
on
Mr. James, you brought up 2.
Correct, and for 2, my, in the opening sentence, it says, the additional meeting may be scheduled by the chair or by vote of 2/3 of the board. What I'm not clear on is how the board votes, how 2/3 of the board would vote to do that.
If 2/3 of vote came together and said we want to have an additional meeting, it gives the board and the chair the chance to have. Not just.
Understood. I'm just saying, where are you taking a vote to
So
do this?
let's say maybe we're discussing.
Previous meeting, you
And we're
said,
saying now we have that we want to do additional meeting, and we can do a vote now. Because of course it would be a private meeting, right? So it would be something we work together. So I would say like now, let's do an additional meeting, and then we can vote then.
Let's say such a circumstance comes up in between meetings and we decide we want to
At
have
the
a meeting.
request of.
Do you understand?
At the written request of 2/3, we can add some clarifying language. That helps.
Or you said what? You already what you said?
I didn't give any.
No, I'm saying with, upon written request of 2/3, written request of 2/3 members of the board or something like that.
So we could communicate it by email, notification with email vote or something.
Not be written. Yeah, we can add that language. We add that with that.
That would address it, 'cause again, my issue is mainly as a vote, and if it's in between meetings, how do you have an additional meeting or request for a special meeting?
We'll do it.
So you have that one, so you have that.
I would, on this piece too, I would also just say this, the last sentence, I think also just bumps down to attendance and quorum.
as since 1 meeting.
The last sentence in 2, members should confirm within 24 hours of notice, their ability to attend the meeting and ensure quorum is available. I think that just bumps down.
All right. So we're going to 3, any issues with 3?
I ain't see a name there.
All right.
It's redundant, that's.
I mean, do we need it? We don't need it, because we can cut out things we don't need, do we?
I don't want, let us read it again, because others might.
Who is the board of directors? That is referenced. I mean, I'm okay to strike this if I don't know what it means.
It's the board.
The board, it should be the
Board of
board. It
directors,
should be the
oh,
board.
being us, oh,
It should be the board.
If, when you send your stuff back, you want to struck, just put it in there.
All right, and then 4, that's a discussion. All right, I have a circle. Who had discussion before?
That was under Mr. Judge.
Yeah, I can send some modification language, but my concern is that it's just regular meetings could just be canceled. And I don't, the board should meet. And there's no necessarily a justification or reason. It just says they can be canceled.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's also why we appointed vice chairs to be able to stand instead of the chair.
But it
position.
says,
This didn't have anything to do with that.
I'm sorry. I didn't catch your question.
No, go.
I think it says lack of form in that. So it wouldn't be for saying basically, let's say, got emails, like, let's say I'm not gonna be here and I email vice chair or former commissioner last minute, we have like 6 people emailing, nobody's gonna show up.
It says,
If something happens,
yes,
right?
but it says or. It
Yeah,
says
it's
any
or.
regular meeting may be canceled upon notice from the chair, 24 hours in advance of scheduled meetings, and then it says, or if a majority of members of the board have notified the
It's in
chair.
either condition.
Yeah, so
It's in
one
either
or.
If you
condition.
take it out, then because, I mean, like, I can't see.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm just listening to what Mr. Dan.
No, I can't see you, because for the strike, I was saying, I can't see a reason for Mr. Chair, the vice chair, or the chair with council meeting without, unless it was, we didn't have a.
It might be another.
So if we're gonna do that, it goes for everybody, right? That will go for any other meetings such as the meeting that we have JIT, that can't be canceled too, so that is gonna be in there as well, right?
I guess it's not gonna be.
If you have different, if you wanna just put it in your comments. I don't wanna get rid of anything.
Okay.
That's everything.
Yeah.
All right,
Out of fairness to the people who want to speak.
C1. C2, I had circled.
Now, can you go back to B,
Oh, I forgot, I'm sorry, I was moving.
A1?
Attendance and quorum, I'm sorry. B1.
So then, did I understand, Mr. James, did you have an issue with the in-person and the limitations with respect to virtual?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was just a change into what we had previously agreed to. And so now if there is that limitation. I just needed it to be clear that everybody understood that we were adopting a new process. And then again, it's saying once per quarter, that limiting factor is in there as well.
Yeah, but do you have a problem? When you let
Yeah,
us know, you know,
yeah. Someone who travels frequently, I try to arrange my schedule as best as possible, but that limiting factor.
We don't see it, B. I thought, I
we
went to
on-
see it, B.
we were moving one down to B.
Yeah.
And then we were discussing it now that it was
Oh, the regular, being present.
the present and virtual. Okay.
Oh,
So we'll put both, we'll put it as got rid of and as an option. And we'll try, I'll try to do a narrative under. There I am. Okay. And Mr. Jones, you said something about C.
Yes, I did. Oh, yeah,
B and C.
for this one, I just thought that C as a whole should be something that we had to talk about. Because I agree, I do think there needs to be some kind of process for, I don't think delinquency, but if you never come to a meeting, right, there has to be some kind of something in place there for it. I don't necessarily know what that looks like, but I just wanted that to be something that we as a board got a chance to all put our ideas out. Mr. Milton has his hand up.
No, thanks, sir.
Sorry, sorry, I just had a concern that I wanted to maybe ask a question about B1. I know we oftentimes get a lot done through subcommittees, and it seems restrictive for something like that, where it says you have to have a quorum to do any business. Am I interpreting that correctly, that that will have application to like us doing business in that way?
We just add, subcommittee in somewhere in there, something like that. And that. Thank you, Mr. Melton.
All right.
That is one that said it. What did you say, Mr. Clement?
No, just encouraging us to discuss.
Okay. Okay.
Say your name, Mr. James, on, 2 and 3. Was that about the 12 and, or was it more than?
Yeah, I think for me, C2 refers to permitted to the maximum of 5 meetings virtually within a 12-month period. Trying to figure that out quarterly and how those are being counted. I noticed that it conflicts with 4A. Back on the previous page, so.
We're talking about this.
Or well, it says you get a max of 1 per quarter, and then this one says 5. And then this is in any 12-month period.
Right.
So 2 different things. There's two different things.
And the first line would be that Sheila Bryan should be, you should see her face. Is that what that
Why?
says? What it says.
It's what it said. That's what it said.
Oh, does it say that?
Because you have such a lovely face.
Oh, yeah, right. Okay. Oh, I'm still here.
I'm just saying that first line says you must appear on camera
Okay.
during the meeting. That's all I'm saying.
That's fair. I don't have a problem with
And
that.
the county, I do believe too, that when the county meets, they have to be on camera, if I'm not mistaken, so I think that's perfect. Okay.
So we'll highlight that as something that will be discussed with y'all. Okay.
I'm just saying, we gotta make sure we have a long time for that meeting, that we're gonna discuss all these things.
Yeah.
Won't be done for today. Just letting everybody know we have this meeting to discuss.
I'll take care of
Don't plan
myself.
anything else for the rest of the evening, right?
For that, on this, so are you saying that you don't want there to be clarification, like, you don't want there to be numbers on like, you can do only virtual this many number of times, like, you want that completely gone? Or that we should just figure out a different metric or different number of, you get what I'm saying? Cause like,
Yeah, I get what you're saying. For me right now, my far position is no metric at all. Unless attending virtually is impeding the work of the board. If it's impeding the work of the board, then I want to definitely understand that.
Yeah.
But I also understand the benefits of attending virtually, helping to ensure the quorum is present, so that things do get done.
Yeah.
So, it's a balance of definitely having the in-person meeting, being in person, being participatory, being active. I totally get it. But if it's restrictive on the number of times you can be virtual, I think that there's maybe some limits that need to be stretched there.
Very good.
Yeah, I agree with that because I think that we can attend virtually and still get the same amount of input, the same work done as as in person. So it's not really a negative. And then the first sentence that is that each member should attend in person as possible, if they can. So
Oh, go ahead, sorry.
yeah, so that stands for itself. If you can attend in person, you should be there. And I agree with that. But sometimes like for instance, right now I'm here in Detroit because I had to go to a funeral tomorrow. So I mean, should I have not come or is this
No, I don't think that's being a little unreasonable. I think that for me, and I can be, anybody jump in, I think that it's important that the commitment that every board member is here, because we have the staff that is here as well. And then we had a situation one time where there was somebody hacked the meeting. So I think that the commitment of showing up and being at the meeting, we don't want people to just say, well, I don't feel like commenting, so I'll just take it virtual. I think the commitment should continue to be to try to make the meetings. That's why we have.
Right.
So,
I
but
think
at the end of the day, I think if we'll just go ahead and vote on it. So
yeah.
Yeah, I was second that too. I think certain things, although you can do virtually, But when we're here like these, like we're discussing now, going around, having to wait, come on mute, things like that, especially when we're trying to get out of here on time, it slows things down. And sometimes having someone face to face, get those things done, get things, more things done. But of course, you don't want to restrict the people you're out of town, your business things. So I guess it's a fine line trying to find that balance. I don't know necessarily the word called that.
And there was some language in there, maybe for consider, there's a part about unexcused, understanding people at different circumstances. So when you make suggestions, look at that part too.
Now, and on that, I think that if we do decide as a board that, okay, you know what, the holidays tomorrow, we'll take a meeting virtually, next week, let's take a meeting the day before virtually, that's understandable and that's within reason. But again, in my opinion, I think that we should try to make the meetings as often as possible. Again, it requires that to be here as well. So, thank you.
And I just want to make sure everybody understood why number 3, because in an earlier iteration, it had it being grounds to get rid of. This board does not have that power. The most they can do is make a recommendation to the chair, to the county. That's right.
My only question for 3 here would be, how do we define excused and unexcused? But right now, it just seems like full discretion of the chairperson. Yeah.
I think, again, we're all adults. Something comes up and you can't come, let the chair know. I mean, that should be an excuse to absence.
Yeah.
I think that, the rules of procedure are just so we'll have some type of governance, type of order to what we're doing. Like, we're not trying to, in my opinion, the board, we're not trying to police people, but we're trying to make sure we're doing our job sufficiently. So if you say, hey, I can't come, something came up, you look at the board, no, it should be an excuse. So I think that would be.
In one way, the unexcused is that you didn't provide no.
And yeah, maybe it could be that simple. But I just do think if we're using the term and if you are trying to be like, official about it, again, we talked earlier about, I think you got to protect the position from a good or a bad, even though it's not how we should think about it, but, so point totally taken. I just think if we're gonna use the term.
Are y'all okay with that? That it's not given, so that nobody's in your business. If you decide you need a mental health day, and you can't come, that's your day. And but I think it's making sure people know, so that you know if you have.
Personally, I'm okay with defining unexcused as unnoticed.
Anybody? I'll put it in there, and if y'all decide you don't like it, take it back.
D1, I have a circle. I think that's more so along the lines of just uniformity, right? That,
I know Mr. James brought up
Yeah.
some, so we'll make sure that it's clear what publication I underlined is.
yeah.
We got that.
Okay, anything else with, besides 1 and 2, making sure it's consistent? 3, 4,
And did we say okay to 3?
3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Seven,
Okay.
seven may be one that we need to look at the
Okay.
timing for it, because if it's 3 days prior to the meeting, then that contradicts the sent to the board 5 calendar days prior, so.
Okay.
There may need to be, you understand what I'm saying, that timetable may be off a little
We
bit.
need to look at
All
all
the
the
time.
time, make
To
sure
see
we're
it
consistent.
matches up.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think 4, I know you just said, but I think it's already stated one. That was-
Okay, you said 4, you want 4.
I will double check, but I think it's already stated that we'll have meeting minutes and something like that. It's
So when
already
you,
stated.
you think it's redundant? Let's do
And
that.
and not making, so we took, just so you know, we had the original ones from Denise. We took the 3 that Tamika gave us, and then we did our homework on it. So
And
we're trying to merge them, some of it got.
Yeah, I'm just saying, so
Yeah,
that
so that might
timetable
have
was
been-
off, so.
And Mr. James, there was 1 as well, we used that as well.
We used them.
So, all right, so we're moving on to E. E1? E2?
Bingo.
Okay.
I said bingo.
E3?
Mr. Jones.
Oh, you go back, E2?
Yeah, no, on
No,
E3.
three.
E3?
Yeah,
Okay.
E3, again, I just, whether or not I like it, whether or not I think someone should or shouldn't, again, if someone wants to come over and sit in the seat back there and they have a sign that says, I don't even know, like oversight's important, or like, whatever, as long as it's not vulgar, I think that's your discretion. I think that that's the right that you have to participate in this process as you see fit. So,
Let
sorry.
me ask you something real quick. If we went back and forth at this, it was written by someone, but if we were to take out the line, start with the first, this down to meeting, would that address? Because it's just a disruptive behavior.
Yeah, I agree.
Would that-
I think that would address my issues. I mean, disruptive conduct. Yeah, I think the specificity of it is what gave me concern and being able, like, dictating, like what you can and can't do in the space. And I don't think a legislative body, an executive body, let alone ourselves, have the ability to tell a free citizen they can and can't do that.
So I think that that's a slippery slope, in my opinion, and maybe I'm wrong. We don't want people to come in just to protest about anything that they feel that's a concern of theirs, to disrupt the meeting. I know that we're saying that, but I don't think that we're trying to, I don't think this is saying that we're trying to take away their freedom of being expressive. We don't want anything, like you said, that is vulgar. Then we get into a position of who deems it as vulgar at that point. So I think that having some rules such as this will just say that this is the place to do business that we're setting up to do, not a place to come to be disruptive. Because I think that you start to get into a really great area, in an area where people are like, I'm just exercising my rights as a citizen to be able to protest and to have a sign. I should be able to do that. Whereas it could be offending to any of the board members or other people of the public there. So I think to try to keep it safe, just say to leave all of those things out, and that way you won't offend anyone. Because then that will be reflected of the board. And then we'll have people starting saying things that, okay, you know what, such and such had their flag up, why can't it come with my flag? So I don't think we're trying to take away the right of people to be expressive. Absolutely not. I think that will be their opportunity if they are here to be able to have the time to speak and to talk, but to wave banners and have flags and things like that. That may be offensive to some. We don't know what that could look like. So
Yeah.
at what point do we start saying that it's offensive?
I don't disagree, and maybe there's a way to, say no profanity or images that are explicit of a certain nature. But I do think, if a circumstance I'm thinking of is like, what if there's someone who is an impacted family member who has something they want going on, and they have a T-shirt that has a picture of their impacted family member, right? Or someone who had, or maybe they have a banner that just says like oversight's important, or whatever. Like, that's something not crazy, but again, whether we like it or not, whether I think it's productive or not, I don't think that it's right for us to restrict the ability of someone to walk into here and do that. If they're just sitting there and they hold their little sign and they're quiet, can't be mad at it. So like you're able to. Oh, sorry, Carlos. But yeah, that's my point.
Okay. Yes, sir, Mr. Vice Chair.
In my reading of it, I think the clause there is after it mentions banners, it says interfering with the right of members of the public to attend, observe, and hear the meeting. So to me, that reads as if anything that they present there interferes with a member of the public being able to be in the room because it takes up too much space, or they can't see over the sign or the banner, or they can't hear over noise or chants or whatever that's being said by that person, that's where it would kind of be restrictive.
The one here, Carlos, it's, if we wanted to be that, those were all separate. So interfering was separate from the sign. So
Okay.
if you want to add to put another word in it, so. And we can. If we do that, would that help? Signs that interfere.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I just really don't like the specificity of it.
Okay.
I think that even if we just leave it as if may not engage in disruptive conduct that interferes with the right of members, or that may interfere with the right of members to the public to attend, observe, and hear the meeting, I think That's fair.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Does
If,
that-
oh, that's what you're saying, then I'm okay with that. I just think picking and choosing actions is, and it's a tough game to play.
Okay, so understood. Again, we'll go ahead and.
I would also maybe put in language that then says that also interferes with the ability to for the board to conduct business. So
Okay.
like if there's a lot of shouting that lets us not be able to have our meeting because we can't hear each other, I think that's also a reason then to do that as well.
Mr. Chair, if we were to do that, the circumstance that interferes with the board, the ability of the board to conduct business or the rights of members, public and city Missouri. Would that be okay with you? That just takes out the words lack of signs. And then,
Yeah, and like Mr. Jones said, if somebody did have a certain thing, but of course, that would be something that we should be drafting or something like that. That's understandable. And I don't, yes, that's fine. I didn't think this was restricting something like that type of thing. So, yeah, okay.
we'll try to put those and add the board and see if it fits. Then y'all can. Okay.
4. Anybody, any comments? All right. 4, yes, sir. 4. All right. F1. F2. F3.
My only question, just for this section, I know you raised the point earlier of, because it's listed as a guiding document, like, we maybe don't need to list it here because it's implied in the, like, oversight document. piece at the top.
We've already said that we're gonna comply with the Open Meetings Act, and that's what this just outlines.
The Open Meetings Act, so we might not need it.
Don't think I know actually maybe let's put that back in there. So we'll come back and vote on it.
Yeah, but let me just say, part of this was not just because it's in there, that document's kind of a big, this was to give a summary, so anybody who wanted access, just kind of highlights of it.
Okay, then, yeah. Understood, that's cool.
You understand?
Yeah, I'm 100%
James.
Fine.
4A.
4A, my 4A touches my 4C, specifically the second line, starting with members who abstain from voting are considered not as voting. As not voting, sorry. Members who abstain from voting are considered as not voting. And then, so for me, that impacts C, which means board determination is made by majority vote of the members in attendance and voting. So, therefore, if you had a majority, if the majority just abstains, it could be 3 people or 2 people can make a decision, vote, and it carries. Because the abstentions are considered as not voting, so it's.
And we may have an issue, and I'm trying to get, clarification from the Office of Law as well. There was something in one of the documents talking about abstentions and not being able to abstain.
Yeah.
Correct.
So that may take it out of, you gotta vote yay or nay, and then that would.
And I
That was something we discussed too, but we didn't know if you guys
It
at the
said-
board.
The only thing it said you had an abstention if you had a conflict of interest.
Right.
You had to
You
declare
can
earlier.
recuse.
Right.
You had to refuse and be out of the discussion from the beginning.
But that was something we
So,
discussed,
we
we doing it,
discussed
but
it.
we didn't know if that was something that you guys would be on board with, that you have to vote. Anyway. Yes.
No, I was
We'll
thinking
look
that-
at A and C.
But that was in training too. I think as a training, he actually said that when we went to training, that you cannot.
Yes. So, okay.
So we'll go back and just make sure it's clear.
Yeah.
But you can except when you can.
All right, exactly. So with that. Hear that.
We're gonna look at it.
Yeah.
Make sure.
All right. B.
Article 4, right?
Yes.
We didn't finish G.
I was on A. Are we done with that? We're done with that? We're gonna do Article 5. Article 5?
No, we didn't finish.
Right, I was going down.
Yes.
I said B, and you go, right? And y'all like, wait, I'm like, okay, let's. Okay. Look, I'll take, so Article 4. Yes,
Right.
sir. Article 4, letter B. Yes. We're good? Okay, C goes into A. D. E. Yeah, sorry, go back. I'm coming to brakes.
I had just a question on E, just clarifying what it means.
Okay.
Postpone a decision on a question until the subsequent board meeting. That, I mean, that just seems like I don't know what that means, like, decision on what, postpone why? Until the subsequent board meeting, is it infinite? Can you postpone infinitely until infinite subsequent meetings, or? Yeah, like, under what context would the postponement need to happen?
We do it all the time, here, maybe I don't understand. Maybe I need clarification, because I feel like a lot of times we have questions,
So-
and people respond to
So for me, once you, for example, this evening, we put a motion on the table, that motion is still active. We need to dispose of that motion this evening. We may vote it down this evening because we have things to work on. But the way this is written, it gives the power of the chair to just postpone a decision on the question, not even taking action on it. And I think we should adopt some rules around that governance, Robert's rules. We need to adopt that so that it's very clear on those processes. Because this right now just says the chair can postpone a decision on something. It doesn't have any requirements, indefinite. And again, I'm just thinking about future forward. I don't know who's, what that means. I think we definitely learned that last week. Don't set rules up if you're not ready for whoever might be in the seat to take those rules on. So I think that that's something to consider.
So how would you?
I would just adopt Robert's Rules of Order, which wouldn't allow the chair to just postpone a decision.
The thing about that, if we adopt it here, we adopt it everywhere, and I don't know as a board, and how that we have, that things are going, that we would want to.
Could we say the chair can postpone a decision on a question at the request of the majority of the board? I mean, that would be the board requesting it, but
I would say in general, if there's a need to postpone, you take a motion to table.
yeah,
It sits it down and then it can come back up at the next meeting or defined time. But right now, it just leaves it wide open and indefinite.
We say that then, I don't necessarily think we need to involve Robert, who's the board, can we say that,
I would say that is.
I don't think you make reference to Robert.
Yeah.
There's too many other things that are mandated that aren't necessarily consistent with.
So can we say that and not represent, can we make
Well,
that?
When he can send it,
Okay.
right, like.
And I mean, I will say, I do think the adoption of Robert's rules or abbreviated version or something similar is important, because I do think one of the ways that we talk about efficiency, I think that's the way that we achieve that, by having streamlined, clear processes on how we proceed, on what we can vote on, what we need to vote on, what we don't. So I actually would suggest that we adopt Robert's rules. I won't put that motion forward tonight. Obviously we're at the end of the night, that's maybe a larger discussion to have. But I will say, I do think we need some kind of formal structured process for that. Because it feels like we borrow from Robert's rules in some places and then don't in others. So if we're gonna do it, we might as well.
What you can do, you can borrow from it, and if you specify something different, you adopt a special rule.
So
But have you already brought?
Absolutely.
it's already 100%. I love parliamentary procedure. I think it's super helpful. I think it will help us in a lot of our processes. Again, I think maybe we can abbreviate it, and maybe that's something I could put together, have it for the next meeting, an abbreviated process of what Robert's rules would look like for us and to adopt that. But I think it would help. Or maybe not next meeting, but
Oh, okay.
maybe, yeah. But yeah, I meant that, but into the new year.
This
So,
has been
so
requested.
thank you.
This needs to be
All right.
done.
Gotcha, okay, so we're gonna change that,
No, Mr. James is gonna send us something, right?
okay.
E, correct.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's right.
okay, E, okay, F.
Yeah, I had a point of clarification on this also. Yeah, usually my confusion is just, so once we're like, I move, to vote on this thing, seconded. So are we saying that at that point, we can no longer have discussion because we have operated largely before this as even today, that the opening of discussion was after the motion and the second? So that's just my point of clarification there. Are we saying that discussion begins prior or post the motion and second?
From the way I see it, that's saying that when he starts calling the roll for vote, if we're doing a roll call vote, that you can't stop the vote to interject.
So the motion would have allowed for discussion, and then the discussion would have been concluded, and we would have moved to
And
vote.
then he calls for a vote. So the minute that the chair calls for a vote, discussion ends. Yeah.
Right. So then I would maybe clarify the call of the roll or something there to make that point.
What's that commit for the vote, so I can, I'm starting the vote, so that's when he's like, basically, that's like.
Well, I like, if I move to adopt, like, we moved at the beginning of this conversation, I moved to adopt rules of procedure. It was seconded. And then we started talking.
Right, but there was no
Right.
vote, he didn't vote.
No, but like, the move to adopt is the move to a vote.
No.
Like that, if I'm moving to adopt, I'm moving to vote.
The only
Like, I'm
thing you
moving
do
to-
is call for discussion.
Yeah.
And that's what he did, was call for discussion. Otherwise,
It would have went straight to the
you
vote.
can go straight to the vote and not have a discussion.
So that's what I'm
But
saying.
we can say, as he did, we will now discuss the motion. And every time you allow us to discuss the motion. Now, sometimes when you do that, you say, I call for question,
Then
which that ends the discussion.
Correct.
Yeah, I get the previous question. All I'm saying is that per the words, the commencement of voting is technically after the second of the motion to adopt this. So if we're saying for Carlo's comment, if we're saying that this is saying that once the roll call has begun, discussion can't take place, then let's say once the roll call has begun, discussion can't take place. But the way it's written, the way that we've been proceeding, this whole discussion couldn't have happened today.
No, I would disagree with that simply because we've already talked about Robert's rules, and Robert's rules specifies. So even if we adopted this, right? Let's say we adopted what you're looking at right now, you could then raise a point of order to say we haven't discussed the point yet, even if he had called for a vote. So in terms of the process, there's always going to be, whether it's spoken by the chair or not, or whoever's presiding, there's always discussion. So if we move directly into a vote and someone wanted to discuss, they could still make the point of order to have a discussion.
I've always seen it where they call for a question. Again, in discussion.
So I guess we take that for a vote. I'm sorry, Carlos.
No, we're gonna.
I'll just say, I'll just say, my understanding generally has been that debate happens first, you move to end debate, and then you move to vote. That is, if we're talking about parliamentary procedure, that's my understanding of how the process works. That's how it works federal level. When committee meets and all that stuff, they have their discussion debates first, they move to end debate, and then they move into the voting process. If we're saying we're doing it a different way, that's cool. I just want that to be reflected here. I'm just saying, through my understanding of how the process has worked for us here, I don't think that reflects that. But again, that's just my opinion. If everyone else is on the same page and it's cool, then fine.
It
I'm
might
just
help
clarifying.
there too, because I do take, I'm sort of a problem, but if you have different language, that would help clarify. I think that I think we all at the same place. We want to be able to discuss. So if you want to give some more language, and we're happy to.
Okay, so, all right, we have that marked at then,
I marked it.
okay.
Oh, no, I didn't put your name. Let me put your name. I had James.
Okay, so that was that. Okay, we're on G. Okay, Article 5. A1. A2. A3. All right. Article 6. Whole section.
No, you missed B.
Oh, shit. B. Article 5B. Article 6. Okay. Oh, hands went up. Yes, sir.
I have a question. Wait, so before we get to Article 6, I wanted to have a conversation with the staff, if that's okay, to make sure that we're clear that, the program manager has some input, so we can have that discussion. So I thought there may be, you ladies that, can put the document, can meet with, myself and program manager, if that's okay. So if we could table that part, I think that, because that would create a larger discussion. And I think that discussion, once we have that, when we meet with, program manager, then we can come back and put that in the document. But if we're sitting here to do that, I think it's unfair. Okay. That's how you. I thought everybody else gets to talk. Because it's late. Okay, I'll have that.
So,
If that's okay with staying. Oh, okay.
for sort of logistical, is there any way we could do this via a shared document versus getting all these drafts and trying to figure out who said what? So we can do it in Word where we can share a link and everybody can go in and make their changes.
As long as you can tell that they changed.
You can,
I have
it'll tell you.
I know, but I'm saying sometimes.
But we can do that. There is a way to.
Yeah, if you do a shared document, instead of doing track
And it
changes,
will show you.
it shows who makes the changes.
And then when we come back, after looking at that, we will have enough time by that time to come back and just no discussion, but to move forward to vote. Everybody okay with that? Okay.
All right, so Article 7, we're good. Any change to Article 7?
Yes.
Oh, man.
Article 7? Nope. Okay. No comments, Article 7.
So,
Wait, I have a question. I'm so sorry.
No, you're not.
An amendment must be proposed. An amendment must be proposed in writing, signed by the proposer, submitted to the chair at least 7 days prior to the board's consideration of the amendment. Does that mean that once it's submitted, it has to be considered by the board?
the amendment,
Yeah, like if I have an amendment, I submit it to you, I give it to you, are you like obligated to bring it before the board?
I thought so, yeah.
That's the only thing I would ask to clarify here.
Okay.
Is that,
Sure that it's-
yeah, if it's
specified.
obligatory to bring it forward, or are we saying we leave it? Yeah.
Would it be other chair?
You keep this, Dave, because you might have something.
All right.
No, just don't let it.
Woo, we got through the whole.
If I ever have a bingo game, I think Mrs. Springs, you'll be the bingo card.
Just for clarification, when we meet and come back, we are voting on a document
That's it.
with the changes that are in there.
That's
And of
it.
course, we're gonna have discussion.
Mhm.
So be prepared for a long night.
Well, I think if we're gonna limit the amount of discussion, I think that we should put a time limit. If that's okay.
Okay.
Because the longer we continue to do this, that's part of being, more efficient. So that's the purpose of doing this prior to the meeting. Because we continue to do this and then we come back and visit every single thing all over again and push this out. And so we can be ready to do that, hold up and do this part, and we move into next year, we'll, that's what we can do. So, thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Before we do what I like to do, Dr. Coleman is going to do a table of contents. It's just gonna be strictly a table of contents. Like it will be nothing added or just be what is
Okay,
there.
table of contents.
So that will be coming, when we come back, that will be presented, but it will be just a table of contents.
For the annual report?
But this,
Oh, for this? Okay, cool.
just a table of contents.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Nothing new, nothing added, a table.
It'll be based on the document.
Okay.
I was just gonna add, I was gonna add too, we could, under Robert's rules, we can limit debate. That's all, I'm just throwing that out there.
Yes, sir.
I do want to say that no matter what, tonight, that was a lot got done and probably 75+% of this was agreed upon, So there's the areas that we figured would be a little more controversial. But I think overall, board did a fantastic.
Thank you. So, thank you for that.
And so can I ask for the,
Yes,
the
ma'am.
shared document, do I need to set that up or?
I'm not gonna volunteer you, but it sounds like you.
Okay, now it's after.
I'm gonna make.
One
You and I
last
are
thing,
gonna have
I will just ask, it does say annual report on the agenda. I didn't know if we were moving to close out or. we
No,
were gonna
no, no,
address that. Okay.
No, we're just trying to get.
Yeah, that's it. Oh, right.
Okay, so we're done with the rules of procedure right now. Dr. Coleman will, create the shared document that we all can edit. And then is there a timeline that we want to make sure we have that back, so everybody has a sufficient amount of time to review the document?
We need those comments, so before we make that.
That's what I'm getting. That's what, so that needs to be in there, okay? So I know Mr. James has said this 22nd, right? Okay,
But there's some things
that we can.
that we can start right now.
So it would be beneficial, we make sure that those things that we talk about, so that you can provide that, as soon as possible. With whatever field, just.
And Mr. James, if you have some that you do sooner than the 22nd, just send them and we can insert.
Okay.
There'll be, I'll send the link out to everyone, so if that happens, everybody can go in and do it all.
And let's make sure we that as well. But this, thank you. So moving on right to the next agenda item. Thank you, everybody. I'm sorry. Moving on to the next agenda item, the annual report. I think, Mrs. Rose, she sent out the category. So we can just look at those. Did you get a copy of that? Excuse me, ladies. Oh, excuse me. So we can just look at that, that Mrs. Rose sent out and just kind of put your name beside that, whatever section of the annual report. I think you sent that. They were sent to this. Don't do that. So, okay. So, and, I can resend it to, would you be able to send it to everybody again as well? For the same time, if you don't mind? Okay, thank you. And then just put your name beside what section of the annual report we talk about that you want to be responsible for. And then after that, when we come back at the next meeting, we can talk about whoever else want to be on that part of the subcommittees and move forward so we can start the process of the annual report. Business. One thing, I don't have any announcement. Vice Chair Sanchez, do you have anything, sir? Oh, I'm sorry. Oh,
You said it was done.
oh, go ahead.
My
I'm
question
sorry.
was just for the next meeting. I know it's Thursday before the holiday, so, I'm sorry, it's Wednesday, Thursday holiday. And I didn't know,
Okay.
I didn't want us to have a quorum problem. And we know about it already.
What about? And if I'm correct me if I'm wrong, I think last year, didn't we take it virtual one day before? Was it?
I don't think we did it now.
We
For
did?
the holiday?
Yeah,
On a
not,
Wednesday,
We did, I don't know when we did, I don't know if we did it early in the week or later, but we did do it.
I feel like it wasn't on that Wednesday. Yeah.
I remember Mr. O'Neill talking about, I don't want to say that. I'm pretty sure we did that meeting.
Yeah, I don't.
okay. So suggestions?
It would be
28th is Thanksgiving, 27th is.
Our meeting is
27th.
27th, Monday, 26th is Tuesday. I mean.
27th is the day before. Tuesday, fourth Tuesday. The day is the 13th, 7th.
The 26th is Tuesday.
27th.
Can we do it on the 26th?
Okay with that.
Yeah, I may have a conflict, but if not, I'm.
November?
Yep.
Tuesday, right?
I mean, Monday, if y'all are around.
Monday, so. So.
In person. So,
Well,
doesn't
this
matter.
discussion, it would probably be best to be in person.
Okay.
To be
Oh, it's for the rules.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, okay, whenever they're on here.
Okay, so I know everybody has a lot going on, maybe may change. So can we at least, I'll send out an email and everybody, like we'll pick a couple of dates. I think Mr. O'Neill said that Tuesday. I did hear that Monday. So we're looking at either Monday or Tuesday. And we can decide from there. Is that okay?
The 25th or the 26th?
Yes, ma'am. Okay. Yep, I have a hand. Oh, Mr. Mel, did you have a hand up, sir? Just joking, just wanted you to come off mute, that's all. Yes, ma'am.
All possible to decide tonight, or you want us to have time?
Well, I don't, if everybody has their calendar, I didn't know if things would change. she wants to, was asking if there is possible to make a decision tonight.
I think I'm good either day.
Made that old meeting.
I mean, I think it's easier.
We're making the decision tonight.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, no, but if not,
Okay.
you might need a day, we can do it like that, turn it back.
We didn't require a formal motion, so like. Move
I
to.
mean, if we just consensus that we're gonna do it to the twenty-sixth, we good. My other follow-on to that is, there's a motion left on the table that hasn't been disposed of, so I just want you to.
Okay, I remember that. Thank you.
before we leave.
Okay, and, okay, so,
26th.
yeah, 25th, anybody open to the 25th, show of hands.
Could do like.
Okay, 26th. Okay, so we'll go ahead and schedule it for that 26th
At 6:30.
at 6:30. Now, understanding that that's that Tuesday, Thursday, it's Thanksgiving. We don't want to be in here Thanksgiving, Wednesday nights. Especially, so I think it's best if we do our due diligence, look at the document, and whatever decisions we make, that make sure that they're fine. We're just going to go ahead and take a vote, and then we discuss it, and just move forward on it. I think we've had enough robust discussion. The only part that I think that we will have to address is after, we need to get staff to address that part of it. Right? Yes, ma'am. Oh, yeah, okay, sorry. Just keep it so high, I think. All right. I think that was it. The only announcement, the only thing that I did want to say is I wanted to congratulate Angela, also Brookside County Executive, for becoming the next senator-elect for the great state of Maryland. Prince George is county's own, and so we're Prince George's proud truly. So congratulations to County Executive Olson Brooks, now Senator-elect Olson Brooks. That's going to be awesome. So thank you, and congratulations to former Governor Hogan for running the great race as well.
I had asked, if I may, if we could have some kind of holiday gathering, and I'm willing to host it at my home for the board. Well, we can talk about it at the next meeting in terms of date or whatever.
Okay. So if you could just shoot that email out to everyone, we'll go ahead and keep providing dates and things like that.
Okay.
You know that you're at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue.
I am not going anywhere near that place. Trust me.
Yeah, ethics violation. All right. So with that being said, I don't have anything else, so thank you.
Can we dispose of the
Oh.
motion? Dispose of the motion.
Yeah, so the motion was made to adopt, if I'm not mistaken, to adopt the rules of procedure. And the motion was made by, if I'm not mistaken, Mrs. Springs, and seconded by Dr. Coleman. Right, so right now, at this time, we're gonna take the vote. So we go up or down, the motion fails, then well, I'm not gonna speak. So I apologize. So all in for, motion to adopt the rules, of the rules of procedure, the document of the rules of procedures. Show of hands will say aye. Motion, not to adopt the rules and procedures. Show of hands will say aye. Aye. All right. One of the first motions that failed like that. So, okay, no discussion? No, I'm just joking.
Can I also say that I appreciate Ms. Springs, all the hard work she put into this, and in fact, taking us through line by line really did help us to get this done. So thank you so much.
Dr. Coleman and Michelle and Council Kent.
Thank you, Sheila.
It's the glasses that done it this spring. So that being said, anything else? No. So one quick thing, I did do some, I pulled some data. Hopefully you guys got a copy of this. I pulled some data, just put some of it together based off of some of the data from the administration starting committee. So just take a look at that. I think it will give us an opportunity to just kind of see what's going on. And I think this data is through the end of September, if I'm not mistaken. So one of the things that I will ask is that we make sure that the data from the Administrative Charge Committee is sent over. But yes,
I would just say one of the things is I would use the terminology that's used here. So it would be administratively charged and not administratively charged. And then if it's not administratively charged, it would then be unfounded or exonerated. That would be a breakdown versus sustained, not sustained.
Well, yeah, and we can talk about, yeah. So we can talk about, I was just putting something together, so I know we always ask about the numbers and the data, so I'm just trying to provide some of that. But yeah, we can talk about how that's going to look moving forward. And I don't think we need a big database. I think that, Dr. Coleman and I talked about, we're both data people, so she's a lot more than me. So we can make our own, data points, because the data can be analyzed once you do it. And we'll talk about those things, because I think that it needs to have, law enforcement agency, race, age, things like that, the description, and write that stuff down. So that way we can definitely follow trends when we have that data, and we can break it down like that. So just wanted to bring that out. And I didn't charge, and thank you for bringing that out. That was quick. And that's it. Your turn. No, yeah, take it still thunder from.
Motion to, I'm sorry.
I move to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn made by Mr. Johnson, by Mrs. Springs. All in favor to adjourn, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining that you can't abstain? Okay. Meeting adjourned at 8:53 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you all. Have a great evening.
Have a good
Thank
one.
you.
Good
Be
night.
safe.
Good night. Thanks.